Good evening. My name is Matt Cohn, and the title of my TED Talk tonight is The Abundance Model. It was about a year ago this month, I attended a 10-day personal development workshop. I'd completed a long career in business, helping many of the larger US banks get online and do internet banking. My kids had recently gone off to college, my partner and I had parted ways, and I'm sitting in this development workshop, trying to find meaning in life. The teachers of this workshop claimed that humans could dramatically shift the planet if we could accomplish two things. They said if we could increase our ability to openly and freely express our love for one another, and two, if we could adopt what they called an abundant mindset. Abundance is a state of mind. It's a belief that in this moment, all of my needs are being cared for and taken care of, and I have confidence that the future will be the same. In practicing what I call the abundance model, I was able to train my mind to see abundance today and also to begin to more freely, openly share my love for other people. And what abundance brought to me was I spent a great deal of time in a country called Nepal. The Nepali people, by Western standards, have very little. We think about them as impoverished people. But the Nepalis live very close to the land, and they live what I call an abundant mindset. They believe in the notion that this too shall pass, and that possessing an overflowing cup can bring happiness. Now, conversely, here in the West, many of us live with what I call a scarcity mindset. About 75% of us live paycheck to paycheck, acquire credit card debt, or potentially have great wealth, but we have fear that that wealth won't last. Our culture teaches us scarcity. We're taught to work hard, we're taught to save money, and we're taught to save for life's unexpected expenses. This makes it very difficult to possess an overflowing cup. Now, during this personal workshop, something came to me that 1 in 4 of you is going to get excited about, and 3 or 4 of you are going to think I'm actually crazy. But here goes. The notion of the abundance model is that 70% of the resources that I actually received are used for my own personal purposes. And 30% are actually intended for me to flow to areas outside of my own personal interest. I call them causes, people, and magic. Let me explain these buckets that can accept overflowing resources that come to me. The first is causes. The abundance model says it's very important that each human adopt a cause on the planet that we feel passionate to support with our own finances as well as our own personal time. Examples of causes would be supporting the environment, underprivileged, or perhaps supporting your alma mater. The cause that I've been passionate about over the last few years has been education in Nepal. A group of us formed an organization called Karma Flights, where we raised money through the sport of paragliding to support local schools in Nepal. It's been an amazing project, and it's been a very passionate process for me to be able to invest in this causes area. The second part of the abundance model is people. What it says is as we walk a path of life, we're going to meet inspiring people that have passions and talents, but may in fact need mentorship or investment to reach their full potential. An example of a person in my life that I've invested in is a gentleman named Sri Thapa. He's a 26-year-old Nepali boy, teaches meditation and yoga in his village in Nepal. When I first met Sri, he would not stop talking about his dream for flying. Every time, fly this, I want to fly this, he couldn't stop talking about his dream for flying. And it became very clear to me that he had great potential to become a tandem pilot and actually raise money for himself in his village if he could attain that. So over the last year, I've helped him, and other people have helped him, raise the required funds for flying licenses, as well as to be able to acquire equipment. And next month, he's sitting for his commercial tandem license. The third area of the abundance model, or 10% of money, goes into something called magic. This one's actually a lot of fun. And the practice of magic says that the universe is in fact magical, And if we can become a partner with magic, we'll receive magic back into our lives. An example of magic that inspired me were the parking fairies of New York City. This is a group of individuals that pool their resources together and on their lunch breaks go out and pay for parking meters for cars that are about to be expired. Interestingly, New York City actually made this illegal, but this group banded together and actually does this in a stealth way. Another example of magic would be seeing a couple on their first date in a restaurant, going in and secretly paying for their bill and leaving before they could see who paid for it. Now, the theory behind magic and the abundance model is if I can, in fact, participate in magic and create magic in the world, magic will flow back to me in my experience. Now, in practicing the abundance model, what I found is the easiest thing to do is set up 4 online checking accounts. I have one called Personal, People, Causes, and Magic. And if I take in a check of $1,000 into my personal account, I simply do a 10% transfer to the other 3 accounts. This makes it very easy to start accumulating resources and then find causes, people, and magic to invest in. Now, here's the really cool part. The theory was when I was given this idea for the abundance model, there was a belief that if I practiced abundance, more abundance would flow to me. So at first this was a little difficult, right? You take a 30% pay cut and you start living on 70% of what you originally took in. But over the course of the first 6 months that I started to practice this, very interesting things started to happen in my life. I became a lot more interesting at parties. I had very interesting things to say. About 3 months into practicing this, I was offered a new job, paying an obscene amount of money. I actually had to think twice about it because I wasn't quite sure I was going to flow all those additional resources. But I accepted the job. And as I started to do this, more and more people started to come to me and wanting to talk about abundance. It was actually quite magical. So the question is, if practicing this and abundance starts to flow to you, why would this work? I believe strongly in the notion of what's called the law of attraction, that like attracts like, and abundance attracts abundance. So I guess the question for all of us is, would you be willing to give this a try? For 3 months, would you consider flowing 30% of your additional resources to areas outside of yourself? My belief is if you did, some magic might start to occur within your life and those around you. And they say when you open up to abundance, all you really have to lose is scarcity. Thank you very much.